If you were a master woodworker, what kind of tiny house on wheels would you choose to build, and how would you build your interior? In this tour today, you'll get to see a shuttle bus built by Wanderboom, who is a master woodworker, and you'll get to see some amazing woodworking skill, incredible craftsmanship, some beautiful exotic woods with amazing finishes. I think you'll really love this tour.
Well, hi, I'm Eric.
And I'm Robin.
And we are Wanderboom.
That's our YouTube channel name.
Yep, and Wanderbooming on Instagram. This is our 2005 Ford E350 shuttle bus conversion that we created for our tiny house on wheels.
We bought this 2 years ago, almost exactly.
Yeah, we just got the little notification that it was 2 years ago that we bought it.
And it was kind of an impulse buy. We were looking for sprinters. We thought we would do a sprinter, but they ended up being too expensive. Just even a shell of a terrible sprinter was too expensive.
That and the size factor as well.
Right, we found out later. I think we would have been okay with it. We would have, but
squeezed.
But we found this. It came out of Illinois. We lived in Madison, Wisconsin at the time. We got it for $3,000. We impulsively bought it. Didn't know much about it.
With the 6-liter diesel.
Right. I would.
That one up.
Yeah, I would do more research than we did on your rig, but it ends up that we put some money into it, but now we're very, very happy with it, with what it's turned out to be.
So yeah, we really wanted to have a outdoor area that people say they live in a bus, but we live out of our bus, and so we kind of wanted to create a nice little space here. So we actually had a different type of awning originally that was kind of cheap, didn't hold up. So recently we added this larger awning. It's actually kind of a cheap beach awning, and it was only $80 on Amazon. And we can set it up in different ways, so it's real flexible. And then we like to hang some lights on there that we run off of our solar, and so it gives us a nice festive lighted area. Picked up the simple rugs, and we've got our awesome zero gravity chairs, and so we like to have a nice area where we can hang out and say hello to people, or just when we're out in some beautiful place in nature, have a gorgeous view to look at from the side of our bus. All right, so yeah, the bus came as a standard shuttle bus, so it didn't have much additional storage or anything underneath. So this last year I modified things. I bought these the Byers brand undermount storage boxes. I added 3 on this side and another one on the other side. Plus I put on the diamond plate for a little extra protection, because we do like to go back country and boondocking a bit, so it doesn't hurt to scrape the sides like we did. But these are watertight, waterproof. Put our all kinds of gear in there, so we got all kinds of room for additional stuff, and it spreads the weight out a little more evenly throughout the vehicle as well. So we decided to recently adjust to the diesel heaters, the Chinese diesel heaters people are all jumping on, and we got this one on eBay for $125. We had a little bit of trouble finding a place to put it, so I ended up actually mounting it behind this step here. The air intake comes from inside over here, and then the main vent is by the Battleborn batteries, and we decided to use a 2.5 gallon gas can, and it fits real nicely right in this little slot right here. I can just pull it right out, set it up this way, open it up, fill it up, slide it right back in, and I've got and again, that thing just barely sips any fuel at all, so we can 2 gallons will last a week or more with running the heater quite often. So yeah, I was a woodworker for 30 years, and so I had a bunch of good material that I was able to utilize inside. So you want to come on in, we'll show you the fun stuff. When you come in, obviously the driver's seat and stuff, there wasn't a window up front here. I actually found this on eBay for $40 and was able to install it up here. And then part of the great thing about all this was I found all this beautiful Clear Select cedar from an auction 20 plus years ago, and stored it and had it with us forever until we finally had a location to put it. And so this was the first spot where we were able to utilize a bunch of that beautiful cedar. Also had some redwood, an old bookcase that I used for here and for our table. We also added this jumper seat down here so that whoever's not driving can actually have a spot to sit safely along with the drivers. We're from Wisconsin, and I'm a big Frank Lloyd Wright fan, so one of his philosophies was creating a tight space to enter and that opens out into a larger space. So part of that was in our thinking when we laid out the design of this vehicle. This is our bathroom here on this side, and a closet on this side. We got this very affordable skylight on eBay, I believe it was, for about $35. It gives us a lot of real nice natural light right here in the middle, and we've got a nice spot for some more of our artwork that we've collected over the years. One of the little tricks of this, though, a lot of people use 2x2s and put material on both sides for their walls. I decided to use just tongue and groove material and then this C-channel that holds it all in place, and that way you get less weight, less material needed to use, and a very simple way to create spaces within spaces without a lot of extra material and weight. So this is our composting toilet in the dry bath area. So we also have 340 watts of power, two 170 watt panels up on the roof on both sides of this window, essentially, one here and another one over there. We also have a 100 watt loose panel that we put outside that we can kind of move around, aim towards the sun, and is actually also on a suction cup, so we can even put it on the side of the vehicle if we want to. But everything runs down into the back of this closet, where we have a 2,000 watt inverter. We've got a Victron charge controller, and down in the bottom of the closet here we have two of the 100 amp hour Battleborn batteries, the lithium iron phosphate batteries. So we originally started with 100 amp hour AGM, and it just was not nearly enough for us for our needs. And our needs are pretty slim. So two Battleborns seems to work great, and we've kept it fairly simple, and we keep our power consumption to a minimum, but almost always on solar. We try not to use, we're almost never plugged in anywhere. When
we were designing the space, part of the reason for a lot of counter space is that I love to cook. So I wanted a big enough space to have a big prep area. Eric has this fold down butcher block that we love to use. It's mostly up. We usually don't even put it down unless we have punt company, because we don't really need to put it down. But it's nice if we do have more people in here, we can. These beautiful big live edge walnut counters that are really nice and solid. A huge sink, so it's really easy to wash dishes. I can actually put my dishes in my sink to dry. That's why I left them here. Now on this side we have just one large big countertop. We don't have a built-in stove. We didn't really want one. I wanted to be able to cook outside as well as inside. So we just have our everything drawer, which everyone likes to see. We all have a mess drawer, right? But this is where we keep our stove. It just comes right out, hooks up to a little propane bottle there, cook right here. We can easily take it outside if the weather's really nice and we don't want to cook inside. Most of the time I actually do cook inside though. So this side, as you'll see, the counter's a little bit lower. We had to make room for this painting, which we weren't going to leave behind. It was a wedding present from a friend of ours. He's an artist named Mitchell Johnson. He's from the Bay Area, and he's a friend of ours, and we just weren't going to part with that. So we actually designed a bunch of the bus around this painting so that it would fit. And we have some other pieces that we kept. We wanted to keep some art. It's important to us to have the stuff that we love with us in our bus, so we designed around it.
So we decided to go with cork flooring. You know, people use a lot of different materials, you know, vinyl and solid materials and pallets and everything else. We like the cork because it's kind of soft and had a nice color that we liked. So far it's holding up pretty well. We've had a few spots where we've dropped things and dinged it up a little bit, but just a quick little tip for folks. Again, when you're doing these, don't run your floor all the way to the edge and then put your cabinets on it, because these floors need to float and expand and contract. If you're going into Oregon, you're going to get a lot more humidity. Things are going to expand. So do your floor last. Save yourself a lot of material and effort. All right, so again, one of the other reasons we did the Clear Select cedar, well, it worked out nicely, was that how light it is as well. A lot of people comment about how, oh my god, all that wood, it's got to be so heavy. But cedar is actually very light. The walnut is a bit heavy, but there's not that much of it. But again, what I did was I put like one continuous board across on each of these faces. So this is one going across here. This and actually this one are the same. That one. All these guys down here as well. We also, you know, a lot of people struggle with how to keep their cabinets closed, how to, you know, when they use there's a lot of different kind of mechanical ways of doing that. And we had walnut left over from all of the work I did with the countertop, so I just made these simple walnut pulls, but that have the space down here. And we just used paracord that I attached underneath, and then that just wraps right around, and that way again it keeps the drawers closed when we're traveling, and we don't have to worry about the drawers flying open when we're driving down the road. So it was a nice little trick we came up with. So
obviously we are not going to fit a whole bunch of people in here. We have fit 6 around this, but some of them were, no, we fit 8, but 4 of them were children, so that doesn't really count. So maybe 6. 4 comfortably, easy. So we tend to have more intimate gatherings here, but we really designed it, because when you design a bus this small, you're designing it for yourself. You know, you think about entertaining, but it really isn't a reality for most of the time. So we thought about how we used our space in our apartment, and we tended to sit at the same spot. You know, we'd come home from work, sit in the same chair, sit in the same, you know, location, and I think most people do that. We're kind of creatures of habit. So this is usually my spot, ottoman, and then Eric usually sits here.
Yeah.
That's kind of our normal.
And that way too we can utilize the double doors.
So we have a better view. We usually we put our view this way, so we always have a nice view this way.
And then we have our table here, which again is more wood. This is the same.
So then if we're
some of the same pieces of redwood that I made the door above the driver's area. It was an old bookcase that I had the parts from it, and then I used the same walnut for the edges around it. But again, it's on the Lagoon table arm, and so we can adjust it in different ways. It can come this way. We can spin it around and have it closer to this side if the way we go.
If we're eating,
and it can go up and down.
It's a little high right now.
Yeah, right now it's set a little high, but we can drop it down a bunch. And again, we can have 5, 6 people, sometimes even 7 people.
This little stool acts as an extra seat that can go out here, so we could have game night in here, feasibly. This comes down, and then it goes out of the way. It's used as our tablets is our television, so it's used as we put our the TV up there to watch, and so it multifunctional, and we like it. Then sometimes if we don't want it there, we can take it out easy, put it in the front seat, and we have a larger space, a larger lounging space.
So yeah, again, I had between the cedar and the walnut, I had quite a bit of scrap as I was finishing up everything. I literally used every bit of the cedar that I had. I mean, down to the frames on these doors were the last tiny little bits of the wood that I had to create, and that's actually one of the reasons why the metal is on those, because I literally had no more wood to use for the panels on those. But these are more of the walnut strips that I had left over to kind of help keep things in place, as well as these ones on these little shelves. And again, a lot of those were not really necessarily planned. It was just sort of like, well, what else how can we keep fitting things in and keep utilizing every bit of space? There's little cupboards back up in here. There's another little one up in here. So, the whole idea is to just utilize every square inch. This is how we transform from lounge to the bed. So, again, the Lagoon arm is great. You just loosen up this main upper handle, and the table pops right off. We just set that right up in the front seat. This is the arm itself, so you loosen that up, that slides right out and goes out of the way. This slides on out and sits right on the lip on the other side here, and then those 2 back cushions fit perfectly right in place right here, and we set the other one there goes up in the front seat basically, but then we have our queen size bed for us in here, and again with the beautiful view looking out the double doors here. So
thank you, Eric and Robin, for the tour of your amazing bus here. I absolutely love the woodwork that you've done in here and the thought that's put into things like your artwork and the things that are important to you. Thank you so much for the tour. Thank you so much for watching. Savor the moment, and I'll see you in a future video tour.